Ludzie! What's up, people? Hola, JT and Carlos here, or aka Vigo's mom and Vigo's dad. Welcome to another episode.
When did we get names?
I wanted to sit you here because it's about her experience. Now I'm here since July permanently, but she's been here in Poland already for how long?
It's gonna be 2 years.
It's gonna be 2 years.
This May, this end of April, 2 years.
Yes.
Back in my country, in the land of the Slavs.
So how long were you living abroad
10
in
years.
total? 10 years?
10 years.
I want to know, because now that I'm here in Poland, I notice that some people say things. Oh yeah, you know, in Poland,
Complaining.
this isn't, complaining. This is not so whatever, this is not, but I've heard you also say things that you were like, oh, you know, when I left 10 years ago, things were not like this, and now it's so much better here and there. So as a person that was an expat for 10 years, what do you see abroad that in Poland is so much better, or at least to the same level
that I didn't appreciate before.
That you didn't appreciate?
Okay. Number one that comes to mind for sure is how Polish people really take care of their houses. I realized that we really pay attention to how our space looks, how our houses look, how our gardens look. Obviously, I'm generalizing, but let's say we lived in Dominican Republic, Vienna, London, and you know, you have everything in those countries as well. But just the overall tendency is we really pay attention a lot more to those things. I don't know, maybe it's because of communism, and for 50 years it was very hard to get pretty things, to get, you know, furniture, to get, you know, to paint, to even paint colors. Everything was harder to find, and
so you kind of like appreciate more what you have.
So, you know, we are all very, you know, it's an important thing to show that you take care of what you have, and you appreciate now that we can get more things, I guess.
I've covered this on the episodes when I went to the Museum of Poland under communism, and it was very apparent that people had so little, right?
Yeah. Not only that, it was also very similar from house to house, from apartment to apartment. Because if you had a meblościanka, which is like a little wall of furniture, very often everyone had the same because there was just one provider of it, or you know what I mean? But I noticed that, especially in London, when you look around houses that, you know, are a little bit not taken care of, you know, it's not even that I am paying attention, but my mother. Why they're not watering those flowers? Why they're not cutting these, whatever, mowing the lawn? Why the windows are dirty? Things like that. So I know that maybe it's a generally Eastern European thing. Okay. But for sure it's a Polish thing. Okay.
I've noticed also. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever you go to any Polish person's house, it's pristine. Maybe they do it because you know the guests are coming.
Well, for sure, there's part of it. There's a bit of this. I find it negative, but the outcome is positive. That you are very worried about what the neighbors or people are going to say. From the generation of our parents and grandparents, it's a lot of, you know, don't let the neighbors judge you and think you are something's wrong with you, or you're dirty or disorganized, right?
Yeah. So what would be the second thing?
I know that this is something that, for example, when I lived here, and even when I lived abroad, I was hearing about it, and it's related because it also has to do with cleanliness and taking care of space. Because it doesn't only go to your private property. Generation of our parents complained a lot about Poland being dirty, or like people throwing trash in the forest. You know, people littering in the street, which obviously happens.
Yeah. Like you see the bottle of soplita.
Yeah, you can find things like that. I'm not saying that, oh my God, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But when you go to London or other countries, London is just the biggest example because we lived there more than 5 years. Yeah. The cities are not clean. The city is not clean compared to Warsaw. Warsaw is a lot cleaner, and there's a lot more damage also to property. Like there were new playgrounds. You know, we had a little baby there, so they put a new playground, and all of a sudden it's already full of like boxes from fast food and things that people just throw.
Chicken bones.
You know, young people maybe that just aimlessly just go to the parks, and maybe they don't have as much sensitivity. I have not noticed that in here. Even though Polish people keep complaining, objectively speaking, Poland is very clean. And your dad that came from America, he also noticed that.
Yeah,
they were saying that it's really clean. Warsaw's really clean.
Do you think that the reason for that is because the people are more conscious, or because the ayuntamientos, the councils, take care of more things? Like
Polish people would say not the councils, not urząd, not.
Okay.
Not they would complain about services here. I think it is an element of culture somehow. I don't know where it came from. Maybe came from poverty in the past, you know, the Zabory and the war and the communism. But it is taught to children in Polish families to take care of your space, to be clean and not to make a mess. Sometimes to the extreme, because it's always very on top of the kids so that they don't make a mess. But I guess it translates to how we are, all in all, respectful of not making a mess in our surroundings, I guess.
Okay, so what would be the third thing that to you is surprising, that you maybe underappreciated or whatever? You were, like many of us, me too, in Dominican Republic, always looking at the West, the US or England or something.
Hey, in Europe, you look at the US, but also Western Europe as the ideal. You always think that we are this country that no one knows about, and we are so irrelevant, which is changing now.
A lot.
But this is a point that I've noticed when I came back here, and I don't know if it's something that we before didn't notice or complained about, or it's something that has changed. And I rather think that it's something that has changed with the new generation.
Okay.
Polish people are a lot friendlier than we gave ourselves credit for even before.
That's an incredible observation. I wouldn't have thought about it, and she just did. As a matter of fact, I'm going to steal that point. I'm going to make a whole episode about this.
And there's going to be one exception to this rule in a second. But all in all, I went to the hospital one time here, and I noticed that old stuff,
the old guard,
we say gvardia, which is like the old army, is still like in the PRL times, in the commie times. Like, oh my God, like, what you want? You should be lucky that you get any food. I was trying to not get vegetarian food. Big mistake. Every second meal had just meat floating in. But the new generation, especially the doctors, you can see now, you know, we are already old. Like when I go to the doctors are younger than me. When I was still in university, before I moved, the doctors were seniors to me, you know, like gray hair and stuff, and now something has happened, and now doctors are younger than me.
We're getting old because we're talking about going to doctors on our videos. Well, go back 3 years. We're not talking about going to any doctors.
But anyways.
We were trying Polish beers.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe now that's why we're going to the doctors. They have a lot more soft skills, which, you know, in the UK, for example, any type of public servants are trained to also not aggravate situations, to try to communicate well, explain things, be supportive, diffuse conflict. Which Polish people don't like to diffuse conflict. But like I'm saying, younger generation doctors, any type of, you know, service, people serving you in places like that, it has changed. I think it's the internet, is that more, they are open heads a little bit more, they are more aware of how human interactions should look in a you know, in a not private but in a kind of public or professional setting, right?
And also like a customer service based.
Now, customer service based is my little asterisk here. Not saying that customer service people aren't that nice, but this is particularly to restaurants, right?
Yeah.
When you have a complaint in a restaurant, or like you say something's wrong, or why this is whatever should be differently, I don't know, whatever I have ever had anything to say.
Whenever there's implied that something is at fault, someone did something incorrectly,
the waiters immediately act as if I'm accusing them of doing something wrong. Like if I'm talking about the menu, they would say, but I didn't write the menu. And I'm like, well, obviously I know that, but who am I supposed to talk to? Am I going to go to the kitchen and talk to the chef? You know, like you should, in the West, it would be, oh, very interesting point. We will, I will tell that to the whatever manager or the chef or something. It would be always trying to help you solve this problem or make improvements. In Poland, it's like, hey, it's not my fault. Why are you complaining to me?
I'm very happy that you brought it up, because I've been saying it for years that I think the Polish people are a lot friendlier than what it seems, you know?
Yeah, I notice how they react to you. They're open to you and interested. Why you're here, how you, especially if you try to speak Polish. Polish people are very, you know, a lot more friendlier, a lot friendlier than we in the past thought we were.
Yeah, for sure. I think I also gotten better at my Polish smile.
Polish smile.
I'm not there like a doofus. Hey, cześć!
Another point is not necessarily something that is better than I thought, but it's also something that I think has changed. And it has to do with, again, opening to the West, European Union, you know, us getting richer as a society in general. But I remember growing up, when you saw Polish people abroad, you could always recognize by the way that we were dressed. Polish people, Eastern Europeans in general.
Okay.
Because it was never, you know, the Western brands, it was never on fashion.
The socks with sandals?
The stereotypical, you know, socks with sandals and bad haircuts.
But it's like micro observations, right? Like fabric types or
we
whatever.
Would buy
like...
clothes, you know, with 4 stripes, the fake Adidas and the neck, you know, in markets. And obviously this is, you know, part of the past of the commie times. And then, you know, whatever started developing was, at first we were trying to reach to the level of the Western standards. And now I can see that Polish society in general, we look good. We are dressed well.
Amazing.
Usually people are, you know, taken care of. They have good haircuts. In Poland, people usually like, oh, they look more put together when they leave the house.
Yeah, because, you know, I think that it all stems a little bit from that idea that, oh, here I'm in a community. I know exactly. You know the people around you. Like I'm the same. Dominicans, we're the same. We're always, you know, worried about how the others are gonna.
It's the poorer countries that we always try to look better.
So you don't. It's have you?
Come on, Dominicans are even more extreme than Polish people.
For sure.
This is traditional, more old-fashioned customs that used to happen in Poland, for example, and you know, pre-war and things like that. More, it's called Kinderstube, like you are more put together, and it still happens in countries that are still poorer or more traditional. And in the West, it's more like blasé, they don't give a crap, you know. So the last one, it has to be about food, because obviously cultures and food, very important. What I noticed living abroad and coming back to Poland, or just even living abroad and looking at how people eat and what they buy, I think that Polish people eat very healthy, objectively speaking, compared to London, compared to Dominican Republic as well, which we know in statistics that, you know, you consume more sugar, more salt. You have a lot of influence from America, so you have a lot more processed stuff. And in here, I think in our country we have a lot more awareness about local products or fresh products, and it's, you know, more accessible also, because in the States, I know that it's very expensive to eat healthy, and to a certain degree in England as well.
A great example about this is that she found, I'll try to find the map and put it in here. There's a map of the drink that is consumed the most, like the soft drink that is consumed the most in Europe. And it's crazy because everywhere is Coca-Cola. You see Poland, it's a juice.
Timbark brand, So
and it's a good juice, isn't it?
And
it's not full of stuff.
This also kind of shows that we like our brands, and they have been a lot more Polish brands ever since we, you know, are back here. I noticed that are made locally, and there are like also niche products like plant-based stuff. You know, interesting dishes like cachotto things that you can just buy ready-made.
Do you know what is a cachotto?
It's like a risotto made with.
A risotto? What is a risotto?
Risotto.
A risotto. I thought you said risotto.
No, risotto is a dish with rice, right? But cachotto is a similar dish, just made with different type of grains. Kasha gryczana, for example.
That is as Polonized for sure.
Soups that we're eating. They were eating and making a lot of soups, which is like a lot of vegetables.
Supa.
You are ruined by the processed foods of the West.
No, it's not processed. It's the fact that I'm not a soup guy. I grew up in a hot country, and you don't develop a taste for soup. So whenever I eat soup,
I get it.
I feel empty. I eat soup, and I'm like, what?
I need to therapy.
I cannot buy this.
No, but in general, Polish people, Polish food, we appreciate healthy produce. We appreciate making stuff at home, not always buying out, and also even buying out, it's not McDonald's and KFC. We have a lot of smaller food places that make, you know, interesting things and full of vegetables. And I remember leaving the country, and I thought, you always think about your culture or your surrounding or your life as is nothing special. Like that's the base. That's normal. That's the base, the normal. And then other people are better or more special or can be also worse, but you feel like it's nothing special about me. Now that I moved abroad and I noticed, wow, our our way of eating and our way of celebrating food and celebrating health through food is pretty unique.
Let me tell you something, and again, to me, it's like every day becoming more and more normal, but still, sometimes it just shocks me. We held a little party, I think it was like 7 families with the kids and everything. Guys, our table, it was a big ass table full of food. I'm talking that there were more than 10 dishes. There were only 2 things that came from a bag. Everything else was made homemade, was
baked stuff, cakes,
100%.
Some casseroles. It was amazing.
Everything.
And thanks to our friends for doing this.
Yes, I loved your observations, to be honest. Boom! That's all, guys. That's all, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you like this, if you find it interesting, would you like to see a part 2 where we are actually talking about the things that you saw outside that maybe Poland should incorporate a little bit? Like, what have you learned as an expat?
Yeah.
That you're like, hey, you know what? I came back to Poland to bring some good stuff from the West. Guys, thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye.